Today, as I promised yesterday, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite One Piece characters, Ace, or Portuguese de Ace, Gold Roger's son, or secret son. For those of you who don't know, yes, spoiler, by the way, for those who do not know. What can I say at first? I mean, a lot of people would like to talk about the abilities, the powers, and stuff like that, which I will get to that. I will. But personally, I kind of want to start off kind of where I connected with the character, and unfortunately, I was spoiled this about his death. But it kind of, with his death, it made a connection between me and him very easily. And one of the things, or one of the reasons why, is because of the older brother dynamic that we both have. I am the eldest of my brothers. I was not a perfect big brother, and neither was Ace. But what's interesting is we both love our family. We both went through a lot of loss, and we both went through a lot of growing up. And I don't just put myself in his shoes all the time, because look, I'm not a pirate that's basically the embodiment of fire. I'm not, but a lot of the qualities I share with Ace. And it's hard not to put myself in his shoes a lot of the time, especially with the younger scenes that I've seen of him hanging out with his adopted brothers Sabo and Luffy. I guess with that context, it really made me enjoy getting up to Alabasta and actually being introduced to him in the story for the first time. Well, hold up. I just realized, nope. He was hinted at in Drum Island. Excuse me. Completely forgot. And even thinking that Luffy, like considerably one of the strongest characters in the story at that time, besides meeting all those other Devil Fruit users, the fact that there's his older brother is not only stronger than him, has no offense, a much cooler ability than him, and has like. What is really funny to me is when he interacts with the rest of the crew, he has such a polite behavior. He's nice. He's not in your face all the time and not naive. Mind you, this is also Luffy, who is a wonderful character, not bland. I think they call it the what's it called? It's not the negative character arc or positive character arc or something. It's the stagnant. It's the same thing that Goku's character arc is. He kind of already went through his changes, and he's kind of at a stagnant place. But although I'd argue that Luffy does change here and there, especially in some circumstances, becomes more caring here and there. But point being, with Ace, we're at a point to where he's grown up. He's in his 20s, his early 20s. He's part of the, and for those of you who haven't watched it yet, he's part of the Whitebeard Pirates. Excuse me, not Blackbeard. Blackbeard didn't have his crew established quite yet, and was hunting down Blackbeard, as we find out later on in the story, especially when Ace goes to fight Blackbeard before impaled down. Another aspect that I enjoy that I don't necessarily relate to is the Wanderer aspect of Ace. It's really interesting. He's got this, like, with the way, it's like the Cowboy Wanderer aspect of it. Like, he's sailing sea to sea, doing his own thing, and I mean, still being a part of the Whitebeard Pirates, but also being his own person, traveling the world. I mean, we also find out that Ace goes to Wano. Another spoiler. I apologize for those who haven't gotten up to that point. Please. Heck, I'm going to probably make sure to write a warning in the description. But, for those who don't want to be spoiled, genuinely, Ace is an amazing character because of the places he's not only been and grown from, and it's the people that interact him that become so much better. Genuinely. And it's because I remember I didn't watch too much of Yamato stuff, the interactions with Yamato, because I haven't gotten up to Wano yet. But even in the small clip that I've seen, it seems like she's always seems a lot more chipper, always excited to meet people at the point when, it's like a couple years on the line and people in Wano, the people of Wano get introduced to the Straw Hat Clan or the Straw Hat Pirates slowly and see her as a very chipper, maybe not socially aware person, which is weird for me because it's like, anyway, that's a whole other thing I can't really say on the matter because I haven't really spent time with the character at all. When I look at Ace, I see somebody who uses their freedom to not just be, free for themselves, but to help others see what freedom looks like, how to be kind. And he's not perfect, mind you. He's bold and brash and just kind of emotional sometimes, that's how I am sometimes. I can be a little bit too much for myself. I irritate myself sometimes. And I get irritated with people very easily sometimes as well, depending on who it is, especially when it comes to family members. Oh my, you have no idea. You have no idea. And for those of you who are the oldest sibling, we tend to carry a lot of the weight of the world on our shoulders. And it's really displayed that through Ace, because especially when you find out that Gold Roger is his dad, he feels like he has to run away from that. He has to go be his own person. And the fact that we don't find that out until before his death is actually particularly interesting to me, because it's like, even after he dies to Akainu, it's still a crazy thing that Gold Roger's son made more of an impact than he did, not only in the story, but for fans. People really enjoy Ace, and it sucks that we didn't get to spend much time with him. And I hope we get to spend some more time with him. I really do. In the live action, I do. I don't know who's going to play Ace. I hope they're a good actor. They understand they understand the character. They understand who he is as a character. And one of the expectations that I hope is that whoever plays them adds elements of themselves in it, but also adds elements of who the character embodies. Personally, for me, and it's kind of funny if you think about it from now, especially with the way Luffy's powers work now, with it being a Zoan fruit, if that's correct. With it being a mythical Zoan fruit. And it's always talking about the Drums of Liberation with Gear 5 and being connected to Joy Boy. I believe what's interesting is, especially Ace being a catalyst, I believe Ace's death not only is the catalyst for Luffy becoming the person he is now and adopting this strength he hasn't been able to adopt before, I believe it also affected everybody else as well in the crew. If I remember correctly, them reacting to seeing Luffy, or having Ace die, that affected them as well, because all of them had a great interaction with him, and they were left with something. Even if it was just a small amount of time in Alabasta, it was amazing to see this guy who almost average Joe be a part of the thing. Excuse me one second. I'm back. Sorry, my dad ended up calling. And one of the other things that I also enjoyed about Ace, and as we're talking about it, I think it is very interesting for him being a very rebellious in nature, creating the flames of rebellion for people, to start something new with somebody, to allow them to grow. Because you see, a lot of the time, the imagery of fire is used in two instances: for destruction and for light. And a lot of the time, you see that through Ace as he lives his life. The light being around certain people, encouraging and helping, and then the destruction, when it comes to the destruction of others. Especially when he's fighting somebody. His style is to not only bring attention to everybody, like, hey, I'm here, get ready. It's more like, hey, I'm here, and you're not going to come back from this. And the fact that he was able to destroy, I forgot how many ships with one move, is absolutely insane. And it speaks to not only his power, but him as a person. Because if he's going to do something, he's going to do it at 110%. And I appreciate that about him. If he's going to do this, he's going to make sure he gets the job done well. And that's also his downfall at the end of the day. That's why he ended up getting captured by Blackbeard and then sent to Impel Down to be executed by the world government. I find it very interesting and very, very, how can I say this? Very interesting, the word conducive doesn't work here, because I don't think that's what it means from what I'm going for, but very, very interesting. They don't make Ace to be this, nuanced. They don't make Ace to be this, like, end-all, be-all perfect guy. Yeah, he has all this strength, but one of his weaknesses is just being too much for himself sometimes, thinking he can do this on his own. And that's the interesting thing about being the eldest person. We shoulder a lot of the responsibility. We shoulder a lot of the weight of our family's problems on us. And personally, for myself, I made a lot of stupid mistakes as a big brother. I've hurt my brothers, and I regret for hurting them. And I can't tell you how many times I've apologized, and I've tried to change for them. And I hope to leave a better example than I did back then. And one thing that I truly do regret is allowing my emotions to fly out at them a lot of the time, and just be that kind of brash person myself. I tend to, a lot of the time, build my emotions up, bury them, and keep them all hidden, and never really, let them out back then. Nowadays, it's more like I've got to be able to vent, but I can't vent at somebody else. That's why I go to the Lord Jesus to vent, because that's what he's there for. He wants you to vent to him. He wants you to give you, release that to him. But for me, and I've learned to do that, what's interesting as Ace as a character, he hadn't learned how to do that. He didn't have that release. And at the end of that day, feeling like a burden to the world, goodness, I can't tell you how much I relate to that. I cannot tell you that every day how much I feel that burden in my heart towards my family, my friends. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have talked about how hard it is to be a young man in this generation. It is. It sucks. But imagine being such an influential and powerful young man as Ace. To know that you are born from a legend yourself and having the burden of whenever it's time, you grow up and they find out, everyone is going to want you dead. Including pirates. And the only person that you got as family is your adoptive grandfather, Garp, your adoptive mother of sorts, Dadan, who's a mountain bandit, your two adopted brothers, and knowing that your mother died at birth, and your father being a famous pirate and having resentment towards him, resentment that you exist, is sad. It's a sad and a very nuanced thing that I unfortunately feel every day. Not in the same way. My father's not a famous pirate, but I unfortunately made the mistake of growing up resenting my dad for a lot of different things. And I wish I didn't. He's not a perfect guy, and I wish I saw that growing up. And I wish I had a lot more grace for him. I genuinely do. And the reason why I'm very connected to this character is because I was that person at one point. I was the bold and brash, very emotional man who wanted more out of life than just being someone's son. Being someone's son. You know, and I'm passionate about being an encouragement and just trying to do what I can as a human being. And I hope when you watch this, I'm encouraging. I hope I'm delivering something to you that entertains and encourages you to do the same for yourself, whether you're a similar personality or not. I really hope so. And I talk about these things. I talk about my beliefs. I talk about what I like because they both coincide with each other. They, as much as people want to believe certain things don't belong to each other, a lot of what, and I'm going to briefly mention this because it is important to me. My whole life was taught through stories, whether it was from the Bible, whether it's from TV shows, whether it's from any other part of life. My life was taught through lessons. These lessons known as stories. And the lessons being carried out, the teachers, is the characters. And I know that sounds so fancy-dancy, mumble-jumbo-y. But the problem is, with you not, how can I say this? You're not going to understand where I'm at if you haven't been in this position before. If you're not a fan of certain things. If you're not a fan of it. And I understand. Sometimes it can be a little much. Especially with the fact of how anime can be sometimes. I agree. It can be a little much. The fans can be a bit much. But they can also be some of the best people you ever meet. As well. Genuinely. Now, through the story of Ace, I have been able to reconcile a lot of who I was and understand that he's separate. He's his own character. He doesn't embody who I am, but he does embody the aspect of change and sacrifice. The aspect of finding something more. Wanting to just just searching, finding something, and trying to move away from your family's past, trying to not be the same person you once was. And I think it's another thing that's very interesting, that's another weakness and another flaw of Ace, is trying to run away from the fact that, yeah, he was the son of Roger. Yeah, he was supposed to, technically die by the government's hands, but his mother loved him way too much. And I just realized this. His mother wanted to make sure he had a way of life. She held him for another 9 months in her womb. And that's what killed her, because she believed that Ace was such a special kid. Not just because it was Gold Roger's kid. It was her kid. Whew, wow. That hit a little harder than I thought. I'm not going to cry, I apologize, but this is starting to make much more sense to me, and I see why Ace is so important to the story. Because he, even feeling like he did not deserve to live, people let him know they were worth it. Especially with the Whitebeard pirates, Marco, and letting him know, hey, you're part of this family now. Making Whitebeard his adoptive father. That's amazing. Just having this giant of a man just say, hey, I know you're my rival's son, but I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to call you my son, and you're more than welcome to be part of the family or not. And the fact that Ace accepts that eventually is amazing, and especially before he dies. He says, I am not Gold Roger's son. I am Whitebeard's son. And finding out, even acknowledging, yes, that I might be the biological son of Gold Roger, but I am my father's Whitebeard. And saying, even in death, thanking everyone for loving him. Wow. Thank you all for loving me. And I see why people have such a special bond with Ace, because he embraces a lot of what this generation's missing. It's the recognizing of how much people do love us. There are people out there that love us. And there's people out there that hate us. I hate to say that. I do. They hate us for being young. They hate us for not knowing what the future is. Forgetting where they once were. Forgetting that they were in our shoes at one point. And then there's the people around us that see our potential, that see what we can become. And seeing, even in death, with a smile on his face, just like his old man. Just like his old man. Still leaving an impact on the world, even in death. What a great story. It's sad that his story was cut short, but honestly, we wouldn't have the moments that we have now if he didn't die. If he did not die, we wouldn't have the development of Luffy into the powerhouse that he is now. We wouldn't have the development of all the other characters without Ace's death. We wouldn't have that amazing connection with him. Even, what's the saying? A man doesn't die at death. A man dies when he's forgotten. And nobody, as a One Piece fan, has forgotten Ace. And honestly, I'm going to say this. I doubt Oda will ever watch this. just some random white dude that likes his character. And I'd say this, thank you, Oda-san. Thank you for making a character that kind of embodies what this generation is going through. They're searching. We're searching every day for something to be what we don't want to be and be what we want to be. And honestly, thank you for showing that struggle of past and present and future through him. And it's amazing that I get to say, I relate to this character. I enjoy this character, and I always will remember it. And with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the discussion. Down in the comments below, please tell me what character that you really connected to, or if you really connected to Ace as well, tell me how you connected to him. I want to hear your thoughts, ideas about what connects you to the world of One Piece and other stories. Heck, I mentioned other characters as well, and I hope, honestly, we can start an amazing discussion together. And I thank you for being on this journey with me of learning how to do this, learning how to live life, and have fun with this. And I thank you again. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.